shouldn't give this much power to words.
That's cap.
You want to be controlled by a word? Isn't that slavery?
Slavery. Bro just compared black people being upset at a slur that he, in all his blackness, deems
Slur that is outdated
to slavery. This is Sneako. If you don't know him, congratulations on the life you've built. He's a streamer who's made a whole career out of saying confidently incorrect things in front of a microphone. And this week, he decided to use that microphone to defend a guy who walks around calling black people the hard R version of the N-word for content.
Go pick up my hat, Nick.
His defense? It's just a word. Y'all are letting it control you. That's the real slavery. So today, we're gonna sit with this. We're gonna take 4 of the arguments he made on this Akademiks stream, and we're gonna actually break them down. Not because Sneako is special, he's not. But because the script he's running is one black people get hit with every single week of our lives. And most of us don't have the talking points ready to dismantle it on the spot. By the end of this video, you will. That's the goal. Let's get into it. Argument 1. This is the foundation of everything Sneako says for the next hour. So we gotta start here. If this one falls, the whole tower falls. His position in his own words.
We shouldn't give this much power to words.
Why would you let a word have that power? Disarm it. It only has the power that you give it. Words aren't violent act. Why is that the only word where people feel justified in America to act violently over it?
All right, so the position is words have no inherent power. Black people are giving the word its power by reacting. And if we just stopped caring, the word would lose its sting. On the surface, that sounds almost reasonable. Almost. That's the trick. This isn't an original Sneako thought, by the way. This is a script. It has a name. Linguists call it linguistic minimization. It's been studied. There's a whole book on it. Jane Hill, University of Arizona, The Everyday Language of White Racism, came out in 2008. The pattern is so well documented that Akademiks gave it a category. The move always works the same way. Step 1, detach the word from its history. Step 2, declare the word neutral. Step 3, tell the harmed group their reaction is the actual problem. Step 4, and this is the slick part, make their reaction sound like the new oppression. Watch.
The word period to describe a group or really a racial group of people.
Yeah, that's the point. There's no word in the English language that gets people so riled up like that word.
That's cap.
You want to be controlled by a word? Isn't that slavery?
There it is. Step 4. Your reaction to the slur is the real slavery, not the 400 years of actual slavery the word was used to enforce. Your reaction today, in 2026, to a word that was screamed at people while they were lynched, while they were beaten, your reaction is the slavery now. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because as much as Sneako says words have no power, he himself doesn't believe it. Watch. Akademiks asks him a simple question. If the word with the hard R and the word with the soft A are the same word, the way Sneako keeps insisting, then why doesn't Sneako use them interchangeably? Why doesn't he say the hard R version on stream? Watch his answer.
Why don't you get up on here, or when you're talking to people, don't say nigga, say nigga. Why don't you do it?
I don't want to hurt.
No, why? Oh, so you're admitting they're 2 different words.
He just told on himself for real. He admits the word has power to hurt. That's why he won't say it, while simultaneously telling black people they shouldn't be hurt by it. I want you to sit with how upside down that is for a second. Because what he's actually telling you is, the trauma is yours, the healing is yours, the discipline of emotion is yours, and the freedom to keep saying the word that caused the trauma is his. Y'all get to do all the work. He gets to keep the toy. That's the trade he's proposing. Read it back to yourself slowly. He wants black people to do the emotional labor of disarming a word so that he and people like him can keep saying it without consequence. The work falls on us. The benefit goes to him. That's not philosophy. That's an exchange where one side gets everything. If the word has no power, why are you afraid to say it? If your principle were real, you'd say both versions interchangeably and trust that black people will eventually disarm the word through their meditation practice or whatever. But you don't say it because you know the word does what it does, and you're asking us to pretend it doesn't, while you yourself behave like it does. That's the whole argument in one sentence. He doesn't believe his own position. He's just running a script that lets a racist keep doing what he's doing while Sneako gets credit for being above it all in the middle. Now, I want to do one more thing before we move on, because this is where I want you to walk away with something portable. Something you can use the next time someone hits you with, "It's just a word, stop being sensitive." The test is this. Apply the rule to anything else. If it's just a word, you're giving it power is a real principle, not just a rhetorical convenience, then it should work universally. So let's try. Should Jewish people stop reacting to Heil Hitler? It's just a word, right? Just 2 words even. Disarm it. Stop letting it control you. Should Muslims stop reacting to people mocking the call to prayer? Sneako, you're Muslim. Should you? Should women stop reacting to certain words men yell at them? It's just words. The power is only in the reaction, right? Of course not. Nobody applies this principle universally because the principle doesn't actually exist. It's not a principle. It's a selective tool that only ever gets pulled out when somebody wants to dismiss harm done to a specific group. So here's the takeaway. Save this one. If it's just a word were a real principle, it would apply to every word if it only ever applies to ours. That's not a principle, that's a tool. And one more thing before we move on. If it really were just a word, if it really had no power, then nobody would fight this hard to keep saying it. People don't go to the mat for meaningless sounds, they go to the mat for things that do something. The fact that Sneako is on a stream right now, arguing for an hour about why he should still get to use this word, tells you everything about how much weight he secretly knows it carries. You don't argue this hard to keep saying a meaningless word, you argue this hard to keep saying a word that works. All right, argument 1, dead. Let's go to argument 2, because this is where he tries to get clever. Argument 2 is the one where Sneako thinks he's outsmarted everybody. And to be fair, this is his most clever attempt. So I want to give it more time than the first one, because if you don't dismantle this carefully, a casual viewer might walk away going, huh, he kind of had a point. He doesn't. Watch. Here's the setup. Sneako's trying to argue that black people should let the hard R version of the word lose its meaning, the same way the soft A version became a term of endearment. His logic, if black folks repurposed one version, why can't the other version be repurposed too?
Been repurposed, right?
It has 2 different meanings.
Wait. Has that word been repurposed to mean something colloquial?
Yes, but both words now have 2 different meanings.
Exactly. So that word should be repurposed too.
No.
And then he goes to his strongest example, and credit where it's due. This is the smartest thing he says in the whole hour.
My dad's from Haiti, right? Haiti was the first independent slave nation. These people, they killed their slave masters, and in 1804, they led that slave revolution. To this day, Haitians will call anybody who's not dark-skinned black, they'll call anybody who's not dark-skinned black, blanc. You know what this meant at the time of the revolution? It meant slave master. It's since been repurposed to mean anybody who's not dark-skinned. And although it does have an origins of that slave time, it doesn't elicit the same hurt. If people call me blanc in Haiti, am I gonna crash out and say, I'm not a slave master?
Okay, that sounds smart. He found a real example. Haitian Creole actually does this. Blanc or blank started out meaning slave master during the 1804 Haitian Revolution, and now it just means non-black person. That's real history. He's not making it up. So, he's right? No, he's not. And this is what I want to teach you, because the move he just pulled is what's called a false analogy. And it's one of the most common bad faith tools you'll ever encounter. The reason it works on people is because the example is real. The example happened, he didn't make it up, but the example doesn't actually do the work he's asking it to do. Let me show you why. 3 problems with the Haiti analogy. We're going to take them one at a time. In Haiti, bland is applied outward by black Haitians who hold political power and demographic majority, applied to a group of outsiders. The descendants of the enslaved repurposed a word for the enslavers. The vector goes from the historically harmed group, pointing outward at everybody else. The N-word in America, opposite direction, it was a word created by the enslavers, applied downward at the enslaved. And what Sneako wants is for the descendants of those enslavers and everybody else outside the black community to have access to that word, with the historical weight stripped off. That is not the same operation. That is the inverse operation. If Sneako wants the Haiti analogy to actually work, what would have to be true is the descendants of American slaveholders would have to start calling themselves the N-word affectionately amongst each other, with no outside group being allowed to use it. That would be analogous to the Haitian case. That's not what he's asking for. That is the opposite of what he's asking for. Problem number 2. Power, a word's meaning doesn't live inside the letters. It lives inside the power structure around the word. Same letters in different contexts mean different things. This isn't controversial. This is just how language works. In post-184 Haiti, after the slave revolution, black Haitians held the country. They controlled the government, the land, the language. Bland exists in a country where the descendants of the enslaver class do not hold power. So the word, even with its origin, doesn't carry the same weight, because the system that gave it weight got dismantled. What about America? Did America have a 1804? Did the descendants of the enslaved take state power? Did the racial wealth gap close? Did the housing system get rebuilt? Did the prison system get rebuilt? Let me pull some numbers. Federal Reserve, 2022 Survey of Consumer Finances, median white family wealth is about 6 times median black family wealth. 285,000 to 45,000. That's not a vibe. That's not a black people feel this way thing. That's the Federal Reserve's own number. The institutional power structure the N-word was used to enforce is still measurable in 2025 dollars, 6 to 1. So when Sneako says we should treat this word the way Haiti treats Bland, he's asking us to treat a word like it exists in a country that solved its racial hierarchy, when the country we actually live in did not. The Haitian context made the repurposing possible. The American context has not. You can't borrow the result of a revolution we didn't have. Problem number 3. And this is the big one, who gets to do the repurposing. Here's the thing Sneako is sliding past. The black community in America did repurpose the word. That's where the soft A came from. The reclamation already happened, but it happened inside the community by the people the word was used against. That's how reclamation works every time, in every language, in every community. Gay people reclaimed queer. Doesn't mean a homophobe gets to scream it. Disabled communities reclaim certain terms internally. Doesn't mean abled people get to use them. Jewish communities have internal reclamation of words that, when said by an anti-Semite, are still slurs. This isn't a black people thing. This is a how language works thing. Reclamation by definition is done by the harmed group for the harmed group. What Sneako is asking for is outside access to the inside reclamation. He wants the descendants of the perpetrator class to get the same affectionate use that the descendants of the harmed class created for themselves, without doing the work, without acknowledging the history, and without giving anything back. That's not equality. That's just wanting the prize without the cost. And one more thing before we close out this section. Watch this clip carefully, because Sneako does the thing he doesn't realize he's doing.
We can't repurpose. We can't repurpose history, right? And that word is.
But we do all the time. We do all the time.
Who is we? And so does that make it right? That's somebody who has not decided what they think and is just rotating between phrases that sound persuasive in the moment. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. He doesn't have a position on repurposing. He has a position on defending Chud the Builder and is reaching for whatever rhetorical move keeps that defense alive in the moment. When the conversation needs you can repurpose, he says you can. When it needs you can't, he says you can't. Right? Argument 2 done, 2 down, 2 to go. We've taken apart the it's just a word deflection and the we should all be able to repurpose it Haiti move. And honestly, if Sneako were sitting across from me right now, I'd tell him that alone should be enough to make him sit down and think about what he's been saying on his platform. 2 of his foundational arguments, gone. But here's the thing, he's got 2 more. And the next 2 are actually where the conversation gets darker. Because once you take away the word doesn't matter and we should all share it, the only place left for him to go is none of the history matters either. And he goes there, confidently, with his whole chest. Yeah. He says that on a live stream to a black man, in part 2, we're going to pull up the receipts. We're going to build the timeline. We're going to find out exactly when Sneako thinks the past starts, because he's going to have to pick a year. And then we're going to talk about the move where he calls black people maintaining authority over our own slur, quote, segregation. And the next one is where we actually get into the history, because Sneako says, and I quote, slavery is over, get over it. We're going to find out exactly when the past became the past. Yeah, Apparently, we're the segregationists now. We'll get into that one too. Part 2 drops soon, tomorrow, whenever. Tap subscribe so you don't miss it. And if part 1 hit, drop a comment letting me know which argument needed dismantling the most. To my people who sat through this whole video, appreciate you. Save the kit, send it where it's needed, and I'll see you in part 2. Stay sharp out here.